What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. And today I'm very excited to check out Dairyman from Tasty Minstrel Games. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 plus, take you about 20 to 30 minutes to play. I will say it's for probably about ages 6 or 7 plus. I think that's just choking hazard purposes. But in Dairyman, this is a light push your luck die game where you're going to be turning milk into cheese and milk into ice cream, rolling dice, pushing your luck, being a dairyman. It's light, it's simple, but is it good? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, Dairyman from Tasty Minstrel Games. Let's take a look at what we're going to get inside. First and foremost, we got our handy-dandy rule sheet. 1 page, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. Pretty well done. It should have you up and running pretty smoothly. I will say the re-rolls, they don't clearly state whether or not you get to use your special ability once per turn or once per re-roll. I assume once per turn, but I shouldn't have to assume, so that's a little bit annoying. But other than that, overall, well done rule booklet. So in Dairyman, you are going to be rolling the dice, trying to get 10 by either having 2 or 3 dice. So for instance, right here, I would have 10 because I have a 6 and a 3 and a 1. That, if I locked it up here, would get me 10 points. I will be able to use these points to purchase these milk down here. This milk down here is going to give me points at the end of the game. Also, if I have a freeze token, I can turn these ones into ice cream, which will give me a special reroll ability that I can use on my turn. And if I'm able to lock in a special number, for instance a 3 with the yellow die on this, I can turn this into a cheese. This will give me more points, but also will make it so I don't have to worry about losing this. So once I flip either of these tiles over, I will never lose these tiles, and I'll tell you how that works a little bit later. We'll go over the components, we'll get into the gameplay. Component-wise, you're going to have a bunch of these tiles right here. They go between increments of 10 and 40, and they're either going to be able to turn into milk or turn into cheese. Over here, we have freeze tokens, which, as we mentioned, you will earn by getting to the barn. Pretty sure that's how it works. Over here, we have these little -5 tokens. So if on your turn you ever go bust, either on barn 1, barn 2, or barn 3, you get one of these tokens, which is -5 if you have it at the end of the game. However, as long as you have it, you're also going to get to roll an extra die on your turn, which means you're going to be able to get more points. So let's show you a mock turn, and I'll show the game how it works. So on your turn, first thing you're going to do is you're going to roll up these 8 dice, and you're going to see if you can make a 10. So I got a 5, a 4, and a 1. Now, I can lock this into place. I will lock this into place. Now, if I had another 10, if I had a 6 and a 4, I could also lock it into play because you can lock as many dice as you want to one of the spots. However, if you do that, you're not going to be able to get over here and get the freeze token. So there you go. You're already starting to get into the push your luck aspect. So now, I put this 10 here. I don't have any more 10s that I can make. So my choice is I can either stop right now and purchase any one of these 3, or what I can do is I can re-roll these dice again with the hopes that I will once again be able to get a 10 either with 2 or 3 dice. So let's push our luck, see what happens. Oh, I got 2 5s. That's fantastic. I lock those into place. I now have 20 points to spend, which once again means I can push my luck or I can stop. So I'm going to stop right now, and I'll get this, and I'll get this. I'll put it down here in my pile. This will replenish, and we'll go on to the next player. So, he busted. We're going to pretend he busted, which means he's going to get one of these in front of him, but he's also going to get a red die, which he will be able to roll on his turn. Now, I mentioned that these are worth -5 at the end of the game. However, throughout the game, eventually you are going to run out of these because people will go bust on their turn. And as people progressively get these, they can have more red dice. But the catch is, when someone takes the last of these from the supply, and how many you have will vary based on how many players you're playing with, all of them go back into the supply, and the person who had the most of these will lose one of their most expensive milks. So for instance, if I had these 3 down here and I had the most, I would lose this 20-pointer. It would get shuffled back into this deck right here. But you only lose milk. If you have it cheese and ice cream, you don't have to worry about it getting taken away, which is another interesting aspect to the game. Now let's talk more about those reroll special abilities I talked a little about. So this one, I get to reroll all of my 1s. Well, it's the same one. This one right here, I get to reroll all of my 2s. Now I'm pretty sure this is only once per round. I'm pretty sure it's once per round, not once per roll, once per reroll, anything like that. But it's not clearly stated in the rules. So let's take a look at the cheese we talked a little bit about earlier. How this works is you have to lock a die into place. So let's just say I had this 3 right here. Now what I can't do is I can't go, hey, I'm going to make this into 10 and then say, I'm also using this 3 down here. No, if I'm going to do that, I have to specifically, boom, lock that 3 down there, then flip it over. Then that die is out of play until my next turn. But anywho, you're going to continue to try to go 10s, try to get freeze, try to push your luck, not go bust. But if you do go bust, roll extra dice, which is nice, until you cannot replenish this pile at the end of someone's turn. Once that happens, the game immediately ends. You tally up your points down here. You minus any points that you might still have from these little dudes right there. And whoever's the most points will be the winner of Dairyman. And that in a nutshell. Alrighty then, Dairyman from Tasty Minstrel Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros. Let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. 2 to 4 players, very restricted player count. Also, it's a light, push your luck dice game that's going to turn a lot of people off. Another thing, the game feels samey, the game feels repetitive. You're going to be doing the same thing over and over again in the game. You're going to be doing the same game over and over again when you play it. Nothing is really going to change too much from turn to turn or from game to game, which will be a turnoff to a lot of different people. Not too many different paths to victory. It's just roll your dice, get lucky, get 10s, push your luck. Another thing that's going to turn off some people. Now, component-wise, rule booklet. Had a question, reroll abilities. Are they once per turn or once per roll? I don't know. It's not clearly stated in the rule booklet. Also, the rule booklet says that you're supposed to get a freeze token on your 3rd reroll plus, but that's very difficult to do because you only have 8 dice. Because here's your roll, 1st reroll, 2nd reroll, 3rd reroll. You only have 8 dice. So I feel like what they meant was your 3rd roll. Now, I'm reviewing this based on playing it with the 3rd roll rule instead of the 3rd reroll rule. If I'm doing it based on the 3rd reroll, I have a feeling this is going to be a negative review, and I would not like the game nearly as much because it's going to be a lot harder to make ice cream, but that might be the case. I personally would recommend the house rule of playing with the 3rd roll, so when you get to the farm, you get a freeze token as opposed to the 3rd reroll. I feel like I just rambled on a lot about that. Another comment I have with the game, freeze tokens sound really cool in theory. It's like, oh, I can freeze a die and then save it to my next time. And then you're like, And it just seems so, like, maybe it'll happen once in a blue moon, but just to me, it just didn't seem useful at all, and I always just use it to make ice cream. Any other cons I have with the game? Not really. I mean, you go into this knowing it's a light push-your-luck dice game, and if you do that, and if you like light push-your-luck dice game, then yeah, I can recommend you check out Dairyman. I enjoyed it to a certain degree. My wife enjoyed it more than I did, but I will say I think this is going to go over well with the family crowd. I think this is going to go over with the lighter gamer crowds as a light filler game, and I also think this is going to go over well with the gateway crowd because it is simple enough that you can teach this to someone who's never played a game before, which is another thing why I could recommend this game. Very easy to learn, very easy to teach, which are always good things as long as you establish the rules, you know, when you're doing the rules, which I hope you would because that's the point of the rules. But I feel the reason why I could recommend this game too is there's just enough little aspects to this game that I like that make the game intriguing. I like how you can use the ice cream and get those reroll abilities and those special abilities. I like push your luck. I love push your luck games, so that obviously is good for me. I like the red dice. I really like how the red dice work. And that's a really interesting thing because how many red dice are in the game scales to how many players are in the game. And you kind of want to have one red die because only the person who has the most of the red dice gets punished. You know, unless at the end of the game, if you have one of these, it's -5 points. But throughout the game, only the person who has the most is going to get punished. So it's like this interesting little game of chicken. It's like, yeah, I can take 1, but I definitely don't want to get 2. So I did like that aspect of the game. And overall, it's pretty simple. If you like light, easy to learn, easy to teach dice games, this one might be for you. If not, very, very easy to tell you this one's probably not going to be for you. But for me, I'm going to be keeping it because my wife did enjoy it so much. Another thing, it plays well at all the different player counts. It scales well because you're only going to have this many tiles, and you're going to get these tiles on every single turn pretty much unless you go bust. So the game does end pretty quickly depending on 2 to 4 players. So that's good as well. Dairyman, taste your mental game. You like push your luck dice games? Go ahead and check this one out. Also, it's a nice small little package, which I always can recommend. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. Comments below. Let me know. Lifetime supply of cheese, lifetime supplies of milk, or lifetime supply of ice cream. Which would you choose? For me personally, I would go with ice cream, and then I would open up an ice cream store, and I would just eat all the ice cream in the whole world because I love ice cream, not to mention the fact that you have free products. So you get free product, you can sell ice cream at dirt cheap prices, get a good reputation, and yeah, so I would sell ice cream, and I would make a lot of money off it. But let me know in the comments below. Lifetime supply of milk, cheese, or ice cream. Which one would you take? What would you do with it? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.